So I talked before about my intake on my car, but this video I just kind of wanted to talk about intakes in general, and how they affect the car performance in a way. So this video is going to be just about intakes in general. Just for a refresher, this is what mine looks like. There's a silicone hose part here, a metal tube here with a heat resisting ceramic coating on the inside of the metal, then an air box which is open in the bottom for air to come up through, but it has insulating foam on the inside around the filter to protect it from the heat from within. So with intakes, they work, it's pretty self-explanatory how they work, but obviously after seeing some pictures of the way people have done them, it's not so obvious to people. So the intake, whether it be, let's start with factory first. Most factory intakes are designed to hide the noise of the throttle body and all that kind of stuff. Now, a lot of the factory intakes on modern cars anyway do in fact suck air up from the cool areas that are in the fenders and all that kind of stuff. But where the problem lies is between where it sucks air in the fender to the throttle body. And that problem is it goes through a lot of turns and angles and a lot of baffles, open spaces, and so the air is going to be a lot hotter by the time it gets to the engine. Now, it's true that if it's say 40 degrees outside, you're not going to get the air any colder than that, which is impossible, unless you have some way of cooling it down with an ice box or something like that. But sticking with just basically the basic intakes, when you have all the turns and stuff, so let's say it's 40 degrees outside, it's pulling in 40 degree air from the fender well. By the time air gets through the factory intake, it goes through all the bends and turns, and a lot of them have the big tanks on them. You see, I guess it's for water retention, I'm guessing, in case you soak water up. But the air will hit that, just roll around and slows it down, so it spends more time in this heat of the engine bay. So when it comes in from the air duct down in the wheel well, by the time it gets to the engine, it might go from 40 degrees, it might double to 80 or even hotter. If the engine bay is 120 degrees, you're looking at air probably, not scientific here, but probably around 90 to 100 degrees. That's when the intakes come in, aftermarket. A lot of people will put intake on a car, whether it be like more of a short ram instead, kind of like mine. But a lot of times it won't have any heat shielding or anything, so it's basically sucking air from the engine bay and going straight in. So with that, you're not really getting any cold air. You're actually getting the 125 degree air that's in the 120 degree whatever it is under the hood. You're getting that into the engine, so it's not going to be as effective. True cold air intake, from when I was growing up, I was told, is the ones that go to the fender. And as I said, a lot of factory ones have that duct for that. So just by eliminating all the turns and bends, you're going to get that colder air. You know, let's just talk, because it's going to spend less time in the actual intake. Now with ones like which I used to have with the K&N, I think it was a Typhoon intake, it does have somewhat of a heat shield. It has a heat shield. That's not a closed off box, but it has a heat shield, and it has the setup for factory air ducts, which the Eclipse that I had back, it was 06 Eclipse, I had it in 09. It had an air duct coming from the hood, which is a little slit by like this big, but it also had air duct into the wheel well as well, so it sucked the air from both places. So that one was all right because it wasn't most effective keeping heat out, you know, because all it was is the little heat shield that's supposed to mesh with the hood when you close the hood. I'm not going to say that it was perfect, so, but even that's going to help some, because you are, one, you're cutting the time that it spends in the intake itself, and making a straight path to the throttle body, to the engine, so the air is not going to have as much time to heat up as it would through a factory intake. And when you got ones like mine, which mine is a cold air induction, which is a little on the more expensive end. I didn't buy it. It was in the car when I got it, as I've said many times. But this one, not only is it closed off, has the thermal foil on the inside, it sucks all the air from the bottom. And they go on record to say, with the company, the black metal, and I'm guessing all of the ones across the board for them, the inside is ceramic coated with a heat resistant ceramic, so it keeps it from heat soak from getting to the air that comes in. I'm not saying it's the best kind of get or anything. I don't make claims that I can't back up. But I do think it's a better design than a lot of them out there. Unless you get where it goes into the fender well, but then you got to worry too, because if you do have an exhaust, or not, sorry, if you do have an intake that's the true cold air that goes into the fender, and you don't have any collected water, if you suck up water, it can be very dangerous for the car. So this one is less prone to suck up, well, basically most of the short ram intakes are less prone to suck up water than even a factory setup would be. Like, I'm not sure how they all work, but it seems this one here, it still sucks the cold air. Don't get me wrong, I bought an intake from AutoZone before, when I kind of put together. I couldn't use it, obviously. I couldn't use it because the mass airflow sensor spot wasn't the right one I needed, and I couldn't find an adapter, so maybe I was saved from that because there was no heat shield. People call them cold air intakes when they're technically not. Ones like mine and the Typhoon, they're considered cold air intakes, but they're designed as a short ram, and they're considered cold air because they have the heat shield, which does help with some of the to keep the heat from soaking into the air coming in. Now, I do think that I do believe that cold air inductions here, like I have, there's a little better job of it, which is why it costs a bit more. Almost, I won't say almost 100 to 150 more than the K&N did. People going, and that point right there exactly is the price. So a lot of people go with the cheaper ones, and then their arguments are, which is valid, why are they going to pay that kind of money for one if it doesn't really work? Because a lot of people say that intakes are just, you know, like snake oil, basically, like it's an effect that you think is working, and you know, but all intakes say that they have a horsepower gain. K&N, for instance, on the Dart that I had back in 2013, I bought a Typhoon intake for it through K&N, and I think the horsepower, it says, they claim, will go up by, it was 6, and torque by 8. I'm not going backwards there. It's been a few years, but and for an intake, that's pretty decent if it's true gains. Now, they give you a sheet showing dyno numbers. I guess, of cars, or the same kind of car you have that they've done tests with. Now, being that I didn't get this intake new, I didn't have a sheet for this car, for this one, but they claim that they have seen gains of up to 18 horsepower, but the typical is around 16. So I don't know personally on mine, but I have seen video with dyno proof. True, it was a pickup truck. It's not the same motor or nothing like that. It was a bigger motor and all that. Street Speed 717 had put one on a vehicle that he was giving away to someone. He'd done 3 dyno runs, stock, and then changed the intake over to the cold air inductions, run 3 more dyno pulls, and gained 15 horsepower, no tune. And then he let it cool down for about 30 minutes. And they run another one and gained 20. So 15 is the more that you go for, because it's hotter there. If I can find that video again, I will link it here so you can check it out. In a nutshell, intakes, I think you get what you pay for, really. Some cars, the reason they cost so much is because the way these, like mine is a V6, and the way they're laid out, it's hard to custom make. It's hard for you to just buy one universal when it fits, so they custom intakes for that vehicle. So I think it has a lot to do with the price wise. And yeah, I think you get what you pay for, really. Like I said, factory intakes are good. I mean, they pull cold air in from where they're supposed to be, you know, like the wheel well, but they have those water retention areas to hold water if water gets sucked up. That way it won't get to the engine. And a lot of baffles to cut down noise, because most people don't want all that noise. They just want, you know, the car to drive around. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you've been here before, then welcome back there, and thanks for tuning in. Until next time, have a blessed day.